Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Two Up and Two Down. And today we are doing a season 3 episode. It's The Tape. And Chris, what's your first up?
The Tape, season 3, directed by David Steinberg, a legend in comedy. It's November 91, folks. Only 15 million people watched this. God knows how. But here we go. We got to give 2 ups and 2 downs. First up, listen, this show is built on what? The guest stars. And I'm going to go with our boy Ping as my first up. Him on the phone with China, billion people over there. He finds a relative. They say you send money, you look like Stalin, right? And then obviously the joke Ping gives, as George asks him, are there any side effects? And he says impotence. How do you not laugh out loud every time you hear Ping say that? So for me, Ping, clear 1 up in the Tape. Obviously they brought him back later, but love the introduction of Ping.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that. First appearance of Ping, and it's a great one. So great up there. Tony, over to you. What's your first up?
Yeah, I love him going with Pink first. Sets the tone here. And this is season 3, as I mentioned, directed by Steinberg, a legend. And the thing about these early seasons, you're going to find a lot of one-liners, but in a good way. A lot of times we talk about one-liners in the late seasons. We're only finding like one. In these early seasons, 2, 3, even 1, it's a lot of dialogue and a lot of great dialogue. We'll get there. I just want to throw that out there. My first up, though, is Elaine. I mean, come on. Elaine is just delivering on all cylinders in this episode. And this is early. We hadn't really seen Elaine delivering quite like this yet. We hadn't seen her like this yet. The whole sexy Elaine, just how she tells George it was her is amazing. Then when she does the whole camera stuff with Kramer is amazing. I just think Elaine, this puts Elaine on the map in many respects. I mean, this is season 3. We're talking about up until this point, had we seen a lot of Elaine in this kind of way? Not really. The pen had come out, but that was funny, great Elaine. I think the pen is really the breakthrough of Elaine. Busboy scene, I also love end of season 2. So it goes end of season 2, Busboy, you get a little bit of Elaine with the Van Wyck. Then you roll into the pen early season 3, you get a lot of Elaine. And then this really, now we're all like, whoa, this is Elaine now? And now we're all kind of like, okay, now we're talking. Even the 3 guys think the same thing. So you needed an episode like this to kind of, give us something more with Elaine early on for those watching live. And this really delivered. So Elaine is my up.
Yeah, another one I agree on, because just right after Ping, my next up was Elaine. So thanks, Tony. Chris, back to you. What's your second up?
Yeah, the sex simulation, the whole thing. Elaine was great. For me, I'm going to do the whole before and after Kramer with the camera. And listen, for those that grew up in the 80s and 90s, I guess 90s as well, that big camera, I mean, they don't exist anymore, right? Everything's on their phones now, but you put the tape in, and Kramer, just the joy of that new video camera and wanting to use it. Like, everyone who had one, like you just want to tape everything. So him getting in there, feeling George's hair to see if there's any growth. And I just love, they're looking for a private conversation. Like, Kramer, let's do this later. And that's Kramer. He just busts in, not even listening, doesn't care. Like, let's take a look at it. Just wonderful. So Kramer with the camera, the before and after, annoying those 2, but then convincing those 2, right? Like, oh, wow, let's take a look. So he's such a persuasive, fun-loving guy that, I think if you know a Kramer, you could all relate. So again, relatability is a big thing in the show. So for me, him doing that was very relatable. So Kramer and the camera stuff, second up.
All right. Yeah, very good one there. All right. Tony, back to you. What's your second up?
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree with the camera stuff. Have so many of those VHSs sitting around from just recording nothingness, but amazing stuff. Yeah, I mean, my other ups, again, I touched on this because I wanted to kind of preface it, is my other ups are kind of just these sort of one-liner, kind of early episode, like keep you interested, keep you laughing, not blowing you away though. I'm just trying to find one that I like. Jerry gets the number of the chick, and then K-Man's laughing, and then Jerry's not bloody likely. That's my Cackney accent. Earlier they got the phone match with the Irish, Scottish. What's the difference, Lassie? So Jerry's just trying out these funny accents on the show. Gotta love when Jerry does that. And then kind of tied into that. Is the K-Man. I know how to handle these psychotics. I love that line when Jerry's like, it's going to be a psychotic. I know how to handle these psychotics. Give me the number. I'll take care of it. And the whole, Len Berman, let's go to the videotape. Howard kind of brought that up. I may have thrown three ups in there, but that's kind of where I'm going with it. That whole kind of those three one-liners, they all kind of tie together for me, and I love them all. That's my second up.
All right, nice bundle there, Tony. So Chris, got to go over to you. What's you got for your first down?
Yeah, hey, bundling's okay when there's no more ups. You know what I mean? So there we go. Downs. Very hard to find downs in this episode. Not going to lie. So that's why I'm kind of glad I'm going first for this one. But it's got to be the fridge guy in the opening scene. I mean, whoa, really? I mean, what's interesting about this episode is like the one I could tie his note down, so I won't go there yet. But the opening scene there, the compressor, like, what? I don't know. They never got back to him. He never had fridge issues again in the show. I think it was, I don't know kind of what they were doing. I'd love to have Steinberg on and ask him that. I don't know if there's a writing thing or directing thing just to make it like more like, hey, he's in an apartment and he has issues like everyday people. I don't know. But for me, fridge guy, first down.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, like I said, early season, and what do you need this character here for? So, all right, Tony, what's your first down?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote this note down. I was just double checking why I wrote it down, and this is my first down I'm given. Oh man, Howard mentioned I don't have a lot written down. I'm the same way. Like, it's not one of these episodes where you're finding downs per se, right? It's an early episode. It's early season 3. It's solid. You know what? I'm gonna go with and this is kind of one of those odd ones. O'Hara likes to use these sometimes, so I'm gonna kind of take from him here, take a cue from him. He likes to use these kind of like more storyline stuff, and I'm gonna use this one. Like, this chick goes out with Jerry on the date. The chick that didn't leave the message, the chick that is like, what happened here? Jerry gets the number, which is odd to begin with, but fine. Maybe he gets the number. He calls the woman, just gets her to go out on a date with him, even though she really wasn't the woman who left the message. And then he's disappointed because nothing happens on the date. But like, why did this date even happen? How did this date happen? And I understand, like, you shouldn't think too much into it. It's just funny and whatever. But maybe they should have had him go on the date and the girl would be like, what are you talking about? Jerry, maybe, I thought, that would have been funny. Maybe actually show her, be confused by the thing and Jerry thinking it's her. But really, it's just Jerry gets her number. Jerry goes on a date. Jerry doesn't understand why she didn't do anything. And he tells us all of that. And to me, it falls flat, and it's kind of a missed opportunity to maybe have some funniness there in a Three's Company kind of way, or there's like a misunderstanding or something, and Jerry's trying to get with her, and she's like, what are you doing? Jerry's like, you left all the stuff on the message. What are you doing? Something like that, maybe. I don't know. I just, I wrote it down as a down here. I just never really understood that part of it as like this girl just goes on a date with Jerry randomly, even though she wasn't the girl that left the message. And then, Jerry's mad, but that's my down.
No, yeah, good point. Yeah, like I said, it seemed like an opportunity that they missed that they could have done some funny stuff with. So, all right, I see that as down. Chris, back to you. What's your second down?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I'm going to kind of piggyback on that. I don't even have it written down, but as I look at the guest appearances, I take the repairman out of there. Ping, of course, but I feel like they could, to your point, I think they could have brought more guest characters into this, like Bader, Bader, like Jerry went over there, and I think that was Norm Brenner playing him, I believe. But he would have been an interesting little character. Remember Bader, the jockey got off the horse and started chasing him. Like there was like a good story there. Like could have used some Bader. Obviously, Ping was incredible. The other woman, but let's keep in mind this season 3. I think they were trying to really establish the core 4 characters there. So, but again, I think if it wasn't my one down is it was just Ping, right? Like there could have been a lot more there. So for me, I don't know. It's hard to make that a down when they're focused on the main 4, but to be true to what we always talk about, it's kind of being that unselfishness and having guest star shine outside of the great episodes like the cafe. You'll get Babu, you'll get the the woman cheating the IQ. There's just a little more, right? Not saying it's not a great episode. I'm just saying if I had a down, that would be it.
Thank you, Chris. So, Tony, back to you. Well, what do you have for your second down?
Yeah, I almost, you know what? He just took my second down. I mean, that was the one I wanted to use. And it's specifically the Bader thing. I just thought that was an odd thing, just so out of context. Some random guy yells Jerry's name in the diner and he tells this weird jockey story. And to Chris's point, like, that's it. That's all we get out of that. It was very odd. That was my second down. Now, in the past, we have repeated, but my other one I wrote down here, and I don't feel confident in this one, but I want to give a second down. There's just not enough Kramer, if that makes sense. I know it's early, and this is what happens early on. I mean, O'Hara mentioned Kramer's got the video camera, and let's go to the videotape. I do love when, Kramer, whoa, that was you, but that's it, really. I mean, and then that's what Kramer kind of was early on. They picked and chose when Kramer was going to really deliver. He really starts delivering, throughout season 3. But the tape is still a little early. I mean, the cafe is right before this, where Kramer has a much bigger role. The parking garage is before this, where Kramer has a much bigger role. The nose job is a good Kramer, which is after this. There's a lot of Kramer, peppered through season 3. This is one of the ones where he doesn't fully kind of come out. If I'm going to give a down, that's going to be it. Again, I only wrote down 3, and I'm not strong on this one. But I think, I don't know what could have been, but I just think, maybe just not enough to the K-Man, aside from being the cameraman and a couple of great, Elaine stares and things like that we'll get to. But that's my second down.
Oh, yeah, good point. That's just a even keel Kramer throughout the whole episode. Annoying enough, has a great presence. But again, none of that special Kramer that we come to know, the entrances and the, goofy stuff that he does that we all love. But yeah, good point there, Tony. So let's wrap this up with the grades. And Chris, over to you. What's your first grade?
I thought Tony was going to go Jerry's clothing, which I actually had as a down. He had some weird shirts in that episode, but be that as it may. For the tape, I mean, what can you say? Season 3, I mentioned Ping, mentioned Kramer at the camera. The conversation, Tony talked about this, the writing was just incredible. I mean, George coming in and trying to explain about, I couldn't tell her, Elaine, I can't tell you, I promise her. What is this, an Abbott and Costello routine? Obviously, Larry, Charles, Jerry, those guys, I mean, huge fans of Abbott and Costello, so nice little weave in there. George Costanza, what a line. Why do I do anything? For women, I mean, talking about relatability, that's it to a T, right? I mean, and these guys, George, Kramer, and Jerry, acting like 7th grade boys, right? Like, give me that tape. I want to listen to it. I mean, if that's not relatable, I don't know what it is. And then you mentioned the faces and Steinberg, perfection at the end, right? In height order, them staring at Elaine, just a work of art. The tape, tough to find downs. The tape is an A-. It's right there. I mean, it's A material. It's foundational. George and Jerry. I mean, it's just Ping. You mentioned Kramer. I thought Kramer's great in this episode. Like, again, no overkill, no bringing down, and at the core of what they are, it's we talk about this a lot. It's two guys trying to figure out women, right? And what extremes they'll go to, because he watched something on CNN. He's putting all this smelly stuff on, and he's frustrated. He's learned about Elaine. I mean, so much going on, so funny, incredible writing. Give Steinberg credit here. Big shoes to fill with Sharonis, and he knocked it out of the park. The tape's an A-.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And Tony, over to you. What do you have for your grade?
Wow. Wow. A little higher than I thought, but he convinced me. He definitely convinced me. He definitely touched on all the ups, that's for sure, which I liked. I think it was Yerkes who told us the story, the real Larry David story. He had to go into find the actual fucking bomb for Larry David. Great story. Check out the Yerkes episode, The Cure for Baldness. I love the old school Walkman headphones. We've all been there with the styrofoam and the metal thing, and they're all have it in their hands. So Howard mentioned fighting over. Love Jerry with the juice box, a Minute Maid juice box. Who's drinking juice box? He's got to be in his early 30s at this point, right? He's sipping from a juice box. Incredible. Chris mentioned the in order, looking at Elaine at the end. Just an incredible shot, incredible scene. Love it. I mean, there's a lot here. I didn't love the coup d'etat. Thought that was kind of silly. They kind of hammered it home a couple of times. The overall episode, I'm not going to go as high as Chris here. I think this might be a Chris wild card. I think it's a great episode. Don't get me wrong. I think it's season 3. I think it touches on a lot of things. I love Ping. I love George in the car with Elaine, awkward. He's all, hey, you do. Maybe I'll see you. A lot there. I'm talking myself up again. B plus. I'm not going to go A minus. I talked myself up from this grade. I mean, B was my original gut check, but the more I'm thinking about it, there's just not enough downs. And to Chris's point, the foundations here are set. The George running back, wiping the stuff off, coming back, and then everything like that, trying to get a lane. There's a lot here. There's a lot here to like. I just can't push it to an A range. I'm going to be fair though, and give the tape a B plus.
All right. Well, thank you guys. A minus and B plus. Those are good reasons why everybody should still check out season 3 and episodes like the tape. So thank you guys, and we'll see everybody at the next episode.